Hi guys, Gareth here from Heartfelt Horsemanship. And today's video, I just want to talk about horses that get skinny during winter and dispel a few myths about winter feeding. I see a lot of people up their concentrates in winter. I avoid upping concentrates in winter. If you want to maintain your horse's condition in winter, the best thing you can do is increase the amount of hay you've got. Now, if your horses live out constantly and they've got pretty good grazing, you're going to find that in the beginning of winter, they're going to choose the green grass still over the hay. It doesn't mean you don't put the hay out. You'll see on a very cold night, a very cold morning, all the horses will gather and they'll eat hay. Hay avoids one of the biggest reasons for weight loss in winter for horses, and that is their thermoregulation. They are endothermic, so they control their body's temperature internally, and metabolizing dry foods like hay actually ups their body temperature, so they don't end up losing a lot of metabolic resources just to keep warm. So if you're going to be upping concentrates, you're giving them more nutrition for a short period of time, but that doesn't necessarily help their endothermic thermoregulation. So the feed that you're giving, let's say you go from 2 kgs a day to 4 kgs a day, it doesn't make as much impact as having more hay. Now, if I was given the choice and I have a horse that's losing a little weight in winter, and you can either supplement to the value of 500 Rand, or buy an extra bale of 500 Rand, or buy 500 Rand extra higher quality hay, that would be my option because it's healthier for the horse. Horses' digestion works consistently. It's a slow motion through the gut that they picking up little bits at a time. This doesn't work like our digestive system where we eat 3 meals a day and digest it over the day. A horse needs consistent forage going through their gut. Not just for nutrition, but without it they actually start developing ulcers. Horses can start developing ulcers in as little as 2 hours without forage going through their hind gut. So as you can see, I've chose Dreamy because he's nice and round. Now if you stable a horse, you might be thinking, well, this doesn't apply to you. You can, obviously you're keeping a horse in blankets and stable, then temperatures aren't going to drop as much, but still out in the paddock, if you're stabling them and they're still losing weight, I would definitely go change your forage, so your hay, your roughage, rather than add concentrates to the feed, to the diet. Now, I'm not against concentrate feeds. I support using high quality commercial feed with low sugars, low non-saturated carbohydrates, but adding concentrates doesn't, it's like us eating fast food. It's got nutritional value, and some fast foods have a decent balanced nutritional value, but you can't live on that alone. Well, not healthily anyway. So most concentrates, even the concentrate I use, has a low amount of molasses to make it more palatable to the horse. Upping your feed is going to up that molasses and non-structural carbohydrate level, which is bad for the hind gut. It affects the acidity of the hind gut. Now you could, of course, have a ration that is completely free of NSCs and completely free of molasses, but that you're pretty much talking about a fibrous feed then, other than the additives, which is your minerals. But most minerals are calculated on a horse's mass at the minimum amount. Oh boy, this is boring. So upping the feed, you actually adjusting the horse's mineral balance, which doesn't need to be adjusted in winter. What needs to be adjusted is the amount of fiber they're taking in. So back to the stabled horses, I keep Dreamy out of a stable year round, and he doesn't wear a blanket, and we live in the KZN Midlands. It does regularly drop below zero. We do get snow, sometimes twice, 3 times a year. Dreamy hardly even throws a winter coat. Now those of you that say, well, they clip their horses for showing, so they need to blanket. Absolutely. I have nothing against blanketing a horse that is clipped. I don't have anything against blanketing a horse that needs it. But I do think sometimes we blanket horses that don't need it. And in fact, I would argue you don't even need to clip. If you like that smart, smooth coat, I will, when I'm editing this video, I'm going to put in a photo from Dreamy in winter 2017 at show. Perfect shiny coat, because he's getting plenty hay and sufficient concentrates, and he had a good, his mineral balance is good. Now once you start clipping, you kind of get hooked into needing to take care of their coat, because they won't have the natural thermoregulation. Again, if you've started clipping and your horses got used to that, you just have to manage them a little more. But you can really leave a horse to its own devices, living out, as long as they've got shelter. And if you just want to pan around the paddock, we don't actually have man-made shelters. The horses have trees as shelter. There's a forest down there, and that is sufficient. They can shelter from the wind and the trees. So if you don't want your horse to lose weight in winter, make sure they've got shelter if they're living out. Regardless if they live out or stable, up the hay levels. If you feed them tons of hay and they're still not gaining weight, change the quality of your hay. I know there's a thing at the moment about people avoiding things like teff or eragrostis. If your normal feed is like your concentrate feed is in a normal range, and you're not feeding high sugars or not feeding maize, which is terrible for horses, I avoid all foods with maize, then adding a feed like teff or eragrostis is not a terrible thing in winter. It's far better for them than upping concentrate levels. So I'm not against a high quality, high nutrition value, high protein value hay like eragrostis or teff. Great guys, if you've got any questions, we're going to try to do a few more discussions about the management side, which is our module 2 material in our correspondence course, Natural Horse Management. Just because we're seeing a lot of misunderstandings out in the field. Even at some of the studs we're working with, we see people, two ends of the spectrum, people throwing too much concentrates at a horse, or the opposite end of it is people just feeding concentrates and not giving hay, and horses get really skinny. So let us know if there's any topics you want us to discuss, or if you have any questions about what we spoke about today. I know a lot of people will put out a bale of hay and the horses don't eat it, so they think, well, they don't need it because the grass is green. The horses are always going to go for green grass first until it's really cold and they need to adjust their thermoregulation. So even if the horse is only going 1 hour a night to eat a bit of hay, you're still getting the nutritional benefits. Don't avoid putting out hay because you think it's just going to waste. Over the course of the season they're going to eat it. Of course, if it's bad quality, sometimes, if people are cutting hay too late in the year and it's very woody, horses don't love eating it. You might need to give them some encouragement. I sometimes sprinkle a little bit of concentrates onto the hay and they dig through it. But the main thing is that you have to look for the best quality. Dreamy agrees. Great guys, we will post more videos during this week. Let us know if there's anything you want us to cover. Like and share our videos. Thanks guys, enjoy.